Hey, it's Steve. Let's talk about experiential richness and experiential gains. Our intelligence, our human intelligence, is built upon experience, particularly novelty and variety. The more new experiences we have, the faster we can grow intellectually. If we have repetitive experiences of the same types of things over and over again, we don't learn and grow as much. There's a Latin word, expirere, which means to attempt or try. And that's the root of the words experience, experiment, and also expert or expertise. So when you develop expertise in something and become an expert, it's really based in experience and experimentation. Part of the purpose of your human life is to explore, to be an explorer, to soak up new experiences, especially novel and unique experiences. That requires some flexibility and adaptability, of course. But if you seek out a lot of new experiences, you will learn and grow more quickly. You will be exposed to more patterns, more ideas, and your brain will begin to understand that and store a lot more knowledge and a lot more understanding and depth than if you really narrow your focus and just keep having the same churn of repetitive types of experiences. This, by the way, is the first lesson of a new course that I'm doing called Engage, which is about this very topic, developing an experientially rich and engaging life. And this is going to be a 42-lesson video course that I'm doing both on my website and on YouTube. So please subscribe to my channel if you want to stay up to date and continue with the course. Otherwise, welcome to the course, and I'll share more details about it at the end of this video and as we go along through the experience. But for now, let's focus on our core topic of experiential richness. The challenge here with developing an experientially rich life is, of course, all the different engagement decisions that we have to make along the way. What exactly do we choose to engage with? What do we give our time and energy to? Do you, for instance, focus on health and fitness or engage in sports? Do you work on your education and your self-development? What kind of work or business do you engage with? What about your money and your finances? How important is that to you in your life? How important is financial stability for you? What about your relationships and social life? How much will you invest in that area of life? Do you want to have a family? Do you care about spending time in nature? Do you want to travel and see more of the world? Do you want to focus on building up some creative skills? Do you want to make a contribution or have some kind of impact? Do you care about success and achievement and accomplishment? What about your spiritual life? Does that matter to you? Do you want to invest in developing your human character in certain ways? What about having a place to live, finding a home and taking care of it? Even deciding what clothes to wear is something you have to decide. So there can be, a problem with overwhelm in that you just have so many possibilities. And on top of that, life doesn't stay still. You get changes happening, right? Some of them may be predictable, but you also can have unpredictable changes popping up. And then you have to roll with those and adapt to those somehow. I often think about, my life in terms of this experiential richness and always trying to lean towards new experiences that I want to soak up. For instance, in the past year, I went to some new countries I hadn't been to before. I went to Northern Ireland for the first time, had some adventures there, went to Scotland, really loved Edinburgh, went to the Edinburgh Fringe Theatre Festival for the very first time, also went to Stonehenge for the first time. I find that I never really regret travel experiences. Even if it's a bit of a stretch to do them, to squeeze them in, I always seem to soak up the experiential newness and the richness of them. And then, of course, you can have FOMO for all the places you've never been to. I've probably been to around 15 countries so far. But then I think, I've never been to South America. I've never been to Asia. I've never been to Africa. I've never been to Australia. So some people have devoted many years of their life to exploring lots of different countries. And for me, it's just, one slice among many I'm trying to slot into creating a richer and more engaging human life. And I'm always reminded that this human life is temporary. We're here for a certain amount of time, and then we're not, and then we're gone. And I'm always cognizant of the fact that the clock is always ticking, that every year of my life is another chance to engage and experience and soak up more experiential richness, to learn, to grow, to connect. And if I waste that time, if I squander it, especially if I just keep engaging with repetitive things I've already done before, where it's not much richness of growth and new possibilities coming through, then I feel regretful. And fortunately, I feel like I've done a really good job of avoiding those regrets, of really trying to engage with a lot of interesting experiences. So I want to share some of what I learned about making wise choices in this area of life. Wise choices are really about choosing the right investments of your time and energy so you don't pile up lots of regrets. And so you end up with lots of appreciation and gratitude when you look back on your life. You can also think of it as what will create the best memories. However, there's just this explosion of possibilities, right? So how do you make sense of all that? How do you cut through it? How do you create some kind of balance? How do you figure out what's really important to you? What really matters to you? Because these are very personal choices. The choices I make to balance my life may be very different than the ones you make. And yet we can both succeed on this path, right? We can both create lives of experiential richness and in many experiential gains, but they may go in totally different directions. So while I'll use some aspects of my life as examples throughout this course, I really want to focus on making it personal to you. So the invitation is for you to really go through this course and personalize the key ideas, the core ideas, because I'm going to share a lot of what I sense are universal ideas that we can all use and we can all benefit from. And also, balancing how do you deal with problems in your life, like the practical issues, like, oh, I have bills to pay, I have obligations, I have commitments that are in my life right now, versus setting aside some portion of your life for growth experiences, for new experiences, for bringing in the freshness there. And that's something that I continue to explore. And it's really powerful just how amazing our lives can be when we create the right level of balance there. And it's going to be a different balancing point for everyone. One simple key I'll share first is to realize that these are vibrational or emotional decisions primarily. Logic alone cannot ascertain our human priorities for us. Big decisions are emotional in nature because logic doesn't care about whether you live or die. It doesn't care about whether you have a very rich life or a very experientially poor one. Logic can be used as a layer to help make better decisions, but really it's important to understand that the core of these decisions is vibrational or emotional in nature. What we want to do here really is optimize for long-term satisfaction and minimize long-term regret, right? And so that's the key. That's one of the key ideas that we're going to explore together in this course. Another really powerful key that I'll share right now is trust. Your ability to trust in yourself, in your own best judgment, in your intuition, in your inner feelings, especially trusting in the types of things that you seem drawn to and that you care about, which are going to be different than what other people care about. Another layer of trust is trusting in life itself, trusting that you can invite and have new experiences, that you can have an experientially rich life, and betting big on that and investing in that direction. And you'll see that even if you have some setbacks and have some mistakes and some of the experiences you choose were like, okay, that was so-so, or I didn't have a very good experience there, you'll find that overall betting big on new experiences is going to lead to a lot fewer regrets than if you shun that path, if you avoid it, if you play it safe and stay in your comfort zone. We know from just, people on their deathbeds and what they share that one of their biggest regrets is just not betting big on themselves and not trusting themselves, not taking action in alignment with their true selves and their true values and their hearts. And instead, they did what was expected of them. They did what they thought others expected of them. And that's one of the biggest mistakes in life. But the kind of mistake that you will make as an error of commission is far more valuable a mistake to make over time than the error of omission. You don't want to leave things out where you could have had those new experiences that would have added so much richness to your life. And if you make some mistakes there, that's okay, because those mistakes will be learning experiences and lessons and stepping stones. The key, though, is to figure out which experiences will really fuel your growth, which will really open up your life and invite even more layers of experiential gains into your life. A pattern I've noticed also, especially in applying trust to relationships, is that if I focus on developing and maintaining high trust relationships with the people that I connect with in my life and with life itself, I get way more appreciation. If I succumb to engaging in low trust relationships with people, I get regret. And by a low trust relationship, I mean relationships with people where I feel like I'm hiding part of myself, I'm wearing a mask around them, I'm not being truly my authentic, inner self. What way I would think of it is, can you share the quiet parts aloud? So the quiet inner thoughts you have in your mind, in your heart, can you share those aloud with the people that you're with? Can you share what you're really thinking, what you're really feeling? If you can do that, then I would say that's a high trust relationship. And if you can't do that, then I would say you have a low trust relationship. So I found that as I focus more on cultivating and maintaining high trust relationships, and this also requires releasing and letting go of low trust relationships that just will not budge or they will not transform, that my life becomes experientially richer. Trust is like a lubricant for experience. It means that you can take more action. It makes it easier to be courageous. And trust also invites deeper investment and deeper engagement. So trust is a really powerful and also practical filter for finding that path of best engagement. Another key here is courage. And this one is at least as powerful as trust. That is really listening to the voice of your heart. That is really making the decisions that are right for you, and you sense it and you feel it, but before you see all the evidence for it. It's the courage to claim new experiences. And a big part of this path, when you embrace courage, is that you're going to have to face objections, both from other people and from yourself internally. And what I see from people who live a low engagement life is that, and this was true of myself in the past too, is that I would give too much credence to objections, either my own or other people. And I see this all the time in people. They talk about the desires they have and what they would like to experience. And then all they need is one good excuse not to do it, one good reason, one good logical reason. And the truth is, on this path, you will find abundant logical reasons not to do something new, not to have the new experience. Why? Because it's risky, it's scary, it's unfamiliar. Anything could happen. You can't control it. And yet, that is the invitation here, to dive into that space deliberately. So what I found is that it really helps a lot to develop and cultivate some flexibility in which objections you really let stop you. Like, I can see a lot of reasons not to do this course, right? I can talk myself out of it. I can say, oh, it's too much work. And why do it for free on YouTube? Shouldn't I charge for it? I can come up with all kinds of excuses and reasons, but the reason to do it is because I've never done it before. I've never done a pre-recorded video course. I've done 5 courses previously. This is my 6th one that I'm doing, so I have experience in that area. But each time I try to do it differently, try to do it something, with weaving in some different energies, different experiences. And this is not a way I've done a course before. I've done video courses that were recorded live on Zoom, so a series of Zoom calls, like daily webinars, and then recorded it and turned it into a course. And I've also done pre-recorded audio courses. But this is the first time I'm actually leaning into the experience of creating a video course. And that's going to be slower for me. It's not as familiar to me. There's a lot to learn on this path. And I love that because it means by the time I get to lesson 42 and finish this course, I will have a lot of lessons, a lot of growth, a lot of new experiences. And just doing it on YouTube, engaging with the people there, that's different, for me. I've never done that kind of experience before. So that is why to choose it. I have plenty of reasons not to do it. I don't have to do it, but choosing it for the reasons of newness, freshness, novelty, variety, experience, and the experiential gains and wisdom, they're pretty much guaranteed to be worth it. Like, I just know I'm not going to regret that. I'm not going to regret having done this. Yes, it's, looking at it from the perspective of this being just lesson 1 and so many more miles ahead to go, knowing that this is likely to take me months, probably well into next year to complete it at the pacing I'm likely to go. There's a part of me that says that's daunting. There's another part of me that says, yeah, but do we want the memory of having done this? Do I want all the memories? Do I want the experiential gains? Absolutely, because surely I will make some improvements and make new distinctions and learn a lot through the process. So there's that meta layer that I'm inviting you into, which is, as we go through this course together and as we have these experiences, I'm going to be, living this for myself, and not just through the video course. I'm also going to be leaning into new experiences and sharing what I'm learning, along the way, and inviting you to engage with me and to do something similar. You don't have to choose the same experiences I'm doing, but choose something for you that's edgy, that requires courage. If you develop the courage to trust, it's really about trusting your intuition then. It's about trusting your intuition day by day, trusting those inner senses. With this Engage course, I don't have it all mapped out, all 42 lessons in advance. That's not how I want to do the course. What I want to do is engage with it one lesson at a time. Each time, inviting the freshness, the newness, tuning into my intuition anew. What is lesson 2 going to be? What is lesson 3 going to be? At this point, I do not know that for certain. I have some ideas floating around, but it won't be until I finish and publish this lesson and process the feedback from people, allow that to sink in, let my mind churn on it for a little bit. Then I'll start, going into the design of the next lesson. So it's going to be very much a one lesson at a time process as we go through this. Why 42 lessons? Again, trust. That's just the number that came up for me. It's a bit of an inside joke for people in this community because I've used that number a number of times. It relates to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, because in that book series, 42 is the answer to life, the universe, and everything. So I thought, yeah, let's do 42 lessons. That'll be fun. And then if people wanted to, after the whole course is done, if they wanted to do it daily, they could do one lesson a day, and it would be a 6-week course. So that's another way of thinking about it. But at the pacing I'm going to do this in real time, it's going to be months, months long. Maybe a video every week or two. That's just a guess. I might do some faster. I might do some slower. I'll take some weeks off. But it's going to be a process of, incubating and giving birth to each new lesson as we go. When you exercise courage and trust together, it really opens up your range. You gain more access to new experiences, and therefore you gain more experiential gains, and therefore you develop your human intelligence even more. And I will tell you this, it is a real beauty and delight to be able to do what you once feared. Training up in an area of skill where you were previously very hesitant, anxious, nervous, fearful, avoidant. You procrastinated on it a lot, but yet your inner senses told you, I really want to go this direction. There's something about it. I'm called to this. I like to describe it as being called to your stage. And for some people, that could be a literal stage. That's been my case, having done workshops and a bunch of international speaking. That was a calling to me, and yet I was really afraid of that when I was younger. I really hated that. It was not something I wanted to do, but yet I kept thinking about it, and I kept feeling this intuitive urging to go that direction. And yes, it took courage, but the beauty there is that when you do exercise the courage and you pull in the new experiences, chip away at it little by little, you will train up and you will find the joy in that. I could say that, having done self-development work for the past 20 years now, and especially with blogging, writing, workshops, speaking, doing courses, running Conscious Growth Club for, now we're in our 8th year of that together. So a lot of experience that I've invested in. It's really joyful. It's really just heart-opening and beautiful to be able to be in that space of connecting with people. Yet I also know it's not a good idea to just sit and settle into what is comfortable and what is familiar. So it's been a big part of my life, and just a powerful lesson I learned when I was in my 20s, that it's so crucial to keep investing in new experiences, to never turn your back on new experiences. Keep inviting them every year, ideally every month. I'm constantly experimenting and exploring with new things. We'll go into that later in the course, but I just find that novelty, that variety is so crucial to keep our minds sharp. As we age and as we get older, it's especially important to keep taking in new experiences because it actually helps to stave off mental decline, and it keeps our memory sharp as we get older. So this is something to really practice for life, is never think that you just retire from experience. Keep having new experiences as much as you can. So who is this course for? What can we say about that? Well, this is a self-development course, so one requirement would be that you care about personal growth. You're into developing yourself. Another key is that you want to increase your experiential range. In other words, open yourself up to having new experiences that you've never had before. If you're not open to new experiences, I would skip this course if I were you. You want to make wise choices. You want to be selective and intelligent in the choices that you make about which new experiences to bring into your life. You want to develop a healthier relationship with FOMO, the fear of missing out. You don't want to always be jumping in impulsively into new experiences that are too random for you. You want to be a little bit more selective and focused in choosing the experiences that will really fuel your future growth and open up new possibilities that lead somewhere positive and inviting for you. You really want to maximize your long-term satisfaction and minimize your long-term regret. And also, I would say that you sense it's really time for an expansion phase in your life. Since we, had the opposite of that with the COVID, lockdowns and the experience with COVID, going through a contraction phase, I feel like there's a timing signal now telling me it's time to really open up more. Even though COVID, in some ways was an expansion for me in just, focusing on internet things. Now I feel like I want to have a more experientially rich life in person, like right here where I live in Las Vegas. And so I'm taking some steps to really open up more flow in that area of life. Another thing I'd say is you want to link different layers of your life together and harmonize them. So the vibrational layer, the emotional layer, the mental layer, the social layer, the physical layers of your life, you want them all to make sense rather than feeling like they're so compartmentalized into these separate areas. Your work, your life, your relationships, your health, they're all connected. So this course is about, inviting the kinds of experiences that can really harmonize all these different areas of your life and the different layers of thinking about life. And also, I'd say you want to bring more of your desires to fruition. You want to bring them into your life. You want an experientially richer life, which is a very personal thing. So we're going to be covering a lot of these universal ideas that you can apply. And, some lessons will be more about the abstract ideas and some will be more about the practical applications. And also, I'd say you want to consistently advance your most life-enhancing desires. So you want to know which of your directions you could go are the most life-enhancing ones, and you want to bet bigger on that. Now, the course, I'll share a little more about that before we close out this video. It's again free. I'm doing it on YouTube and on my website. There are some other things we're going to have along the way, though, which are called bucket list challenges. For each challenge, we're going to do 4 Zoom calls spread over a couple of weeks. And the idea of each Zoom call series is to get you to the point of inevitability, where you've chosen something and you don't have to have done it yet by the end of the 2 weeks, but you've got to really have it lined up to the point where, okay, now it feels like I'm definitely doing this. Like I've made the reservations, I booked the flights, whatever it is you're doing. It doesn't have to be travel related. There are all kinds of options there. But this is where you get to choose something from your bucket list, something that you've often thought about doing, or it's kind of a back of the mind desire, or maybe just something new comes up from going through the experience with other people. And you decide, all right, it's time. Let's make this happen. Let's actually have this real experience and get it done. And we're going to do 3 sets of those, one in September of this year, 2024, one in November this year, and another one in February of 2025. And the dates I'll share in the description so you can get the exact dates and times, even if you want to add them to your calendar now. We're going to charge, a nominal amount for that. And the reason to charge is that we really want people who are committed to this. For the actual bucket list challenges where we get together as a group and we encourage and support each other and actually do it, I want people who are really going to do it. I don't want to have just a bunch of dabblers or people who are there, kind of just looky-loo. I want people who are, if they're going to spend some money to do this, then they really want to make something happen. And that will create a different vibe. I've seen that before. There's a place for free, and there's also a different kind of vibe you get when you have paid experiences. And so while the base course is free and there's no catch there, the bucket list challenges are an extra layer that people can do. I'll share more details about that along the way. And, at some point, closer to that, we'll have signups for that if people want to join and have those experiences together. So that's more of a social angle to the experience too. What's my motivation for doing this course and with these kinds of experiences with you? One is I really like to teach what I'm also exploring and experiencing. That I think has been something I stumbled upon as a really strong way to do blogging and creating courses, is that it's more engaging for me if I'm sharing things as I'm exploring them, as I'm experiencing, as I'm learning them, as I'm assembling the models and figuring them out. If I teach from something that I learned many years ago or decades ago, and I just feel like, okay, I have this mastered, I have this figured it out, I have this all figured out. That is incredibly boring for me. I'm just reviewing and rehashing old ideas. It's not a growth experience for me. I like to think of myself as an explorer and a guide in this field, and I have to make it edgy for me. Otherwise, it's not the same. Otherwise, it's boring. Otherwise, I think you will be able to tell that I'm not walking the talk. I'm not being in the edgy space with you. And so I'm going to do this with you. I'm going to do the bucket list challenges with the people who show up for those. I don't know what I'm going to pick yet. I haven't pre-decided. I haven't pre-booked anything. I'll be doing that real time with people. And I want to pick something edgy and interesting too as I go through it. So I'm going to be going through the whole experience, doing the course with you. It's like as I speak and as I share the lessons and prepare them and design them, I'm also engaging with the ideas behind them in my life, in my lifestyle, in making decisions and such. Even the decision to do this course is leaning into that fresh experiences, doing something new that I've never done before. I think you'll be able to see the difference versus if somebody teaches from their clear, hard-won expertise, but in a way that's no longer fresh and new for them, that's no longer edgy for them. Again, I mentioned this is my 6th course, but it's my first video course that I haven't done live on Zoom. It's the first time I'm doing a course on YouTube, and that's very different. So I am going to go through that with a relaxed pacing. With other courses, I did kind of the opposite, where I would do 60 lessons in 60 days and publish them one day at a time, including weekends. I've done that a number of times, or 30 lessons in 30 days. Last course I did was called Guild, and that one was a 2 or 3 hour live Zoom call every day for 30 days straight. So that was quite an immersive experience. Because I've never done it before at a more gradual and relaxed pacing for a course, what I really want to do this time is take my time to nurture the experiential side and nurture the ideas and share them without deadlines. This first video lesson is the only one for which I pre-announced a deadline. I said I would publish it this day that it's being published. I announced it months ago, and that's what I'm doing. And here it is. But for all the other ones, there is no preset schedule. I'm estimating maybe a week or so, between lessons on average, much of the time, but sometimes there'll be longer breaks in between. I might travel a bit. With the pacing I anticipate, I imagine we'll go well into 2025, probably into the spring of 2025 at least. But I am also designing this to be a timeless course. So people can watch this years, even decades from now, and I'm going to focus on timeless ideas. So core principles that even with a more complex and experientially rich future, people can still use the core ideas from this course to help them make better engagement decisions. That said, if you're catching this early enough and you have the option to go through this in roughly real time with the other people, I think that's really cool to align with the group energy. I definitely notice there's something about that when a group of people are engaging with something together. We pick up on that energy of each other, maybe telepathically. I don't know exactly what the mechanism is, but you can see the activity, I guess, in the YouTube comments. And so I encourage you to share your progress, share your experiences in the comments on YouTube as we go, because that's a nice way to engage with everyone else doing this. Please be, as supportive as you can of other people. Let's create that community of support around this work. Anybody who's just trolling or spamming, I'm just going to block them permanently from the YouTube channel. So I'll do my best to keep the comment space really clean and supportive, and keep out the non-aligned energies. So if you want to follow the course, I would definitely encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and put on the bell for notifications so you'll get notified when the new videos are posted. You can also join the Engage email list if you want to get updates about it. So each time I post a new video, I'll send an email to everybody who joins that list. The link to that is in the description. All right then, let's do this, and I will see you in the next lesson.